Hey guys, in today's video we'll be creating Instagram login UI using Vite.js and Tailwind CSS. So hereby we have the left side and then we have the right side tab. So in the left side tab we have the logo, the little text and this image. So by the right side, so we have the login form. So first we'll move to the VS Code. So I've already installed the React package. So if you are yet to install that, you can just type npm create Vite as latest. So and then you follow the procedure. So you choose the procedure and then name your file. So here we are going to let's run the development. So here we are going to type npm run them. So here we are going to click on this link. So now we are going to clear all the package. So here this app.css we are going to install it. We are going to delete it. This app.css we are going to clear everything in the app. So we are going to use array-fc. So if this is not showing on your, so you have to install the extension, the Redux extension. So you have to install this extension so that it will give you the suggestion array-fc. So now this index.css, so let's clear everything over here. Let's save it, and then this index.css, let's do it like that. So now let's come back to the web page. So let's install the CSS, that's the Tailwind CSS. So let's come to Tailwind with Vite. So by here, these are the process of installing Tailwind. So let's copy this first. Let's come back to the page. So let's stop the server. So Ctrl+C, and then let's paste this Tailwind CSS code. So now the packages have been installed. So let's start the server and the npm run them. So before that, let's come to the page and check for the next thing. So here in the Vite config.js, so we are going to copy this. So we are going to come to the Vite folder over here. So after this import, we are going to place that, and then we'll come back here and copy this Tailwind CSS login. So we'll copy that and then come to the Vite. So after this React login, so we add the comma and then paste that. So now our Tailwind has been installed. So now we have to copy the CSS tag. So we are just going to copy this and then come over to index.css and then paste that. So let's see. So now we have already installed the CSS. So now let's come back to the code. So here in this asset we have to create a folder which is component. So inside this component we have the two side components. That means, so let's name it the left side. Left side.css, and then let's add C. So let's create another component which is the right side .css. Let's see that. So in this app.css, so here we are going to mount those components here. So let's remove this. So after this, let's import the both components. So that will be the left side. So it has been imported here, and then the right side. So let's add some class name over here. So let's give it the grid. Let's add the class name grid, and then the grid colon. So at large screen, so let's add it the grid colon of 2, and then the gap. So let's come back to, so as now we have the left side here, and then the right side also here. So let's check the, so now let's create the left side first. So let's come to the VS Code. So let's add some padding here. So let's come over here. So over here. So first thing, we have the Instagram logo. So we are going to import the image source, so which is Instagram logo. So over here we are going to import the image. So import Instagram. So just write the source file. So that will be images slash Instagram logo. So I already have the images over here. So this is the file location, images. So now let's give it class. So let's give it the width of 20 and the height of 20. So then, so our logo looks smaller than this. So let's add some size. Let's add some. So here let's use 25, and then for the height let's use 25. So after this image we have a text. So I have an H1 text, which is the everyday moment from your close friend. So let's save that. So this text, we have a gradient color here. So now let's type our text. So here, this close friend we are going to add inside the span. Let's copy it inside the span tag. So over here, let's add the class name, text align, text center. So let's add the text size. So and then the font width, let's add the light. Okay, let's add medium. So we have to import the fonts that look like this. So let's come to Google Fonts. So we just have to look for the font that look like that. I can just look for an alternative. Let's use this. So click on get font, and then let's move this one. So let's click on the import, and then we are going to copy this. So let's come to the index.css. So after this, let's paste. So let's add a universal style. So let's come back to the page, and then let's copy this line. So now let's come back to the web page. So now the font has changed. So let's increase the size so it will look like this. So let's come back to the page. So at left side, so let's increase the size. Let's use 5xl, and then over here let's add some class. So let's add the padding from the x-axis. So let's make that 5, and then padding from the top, from the y-axis, let's make that 4. So let's reduce this to 4xl. So and then to this span, so let's add the class name. So we are going to add the color. So there's the background. So that will be BG linear. Let's use the 90 degree. So let's use the red color like this. Is it red? Okay, and then let's use purple. So after this, let's add the text transparent, and then background clip. So the background clip text. So let's see if I come back. So now we have the gradient text by here. So now let's add this picture. So let's come back to the, so after here we are going to import the picture. We are going to make, so I already named the file, the image name hero. So over here we are going to import the image. That will be import from, so we are going to write the file direction. So that will be images slash hero. Let's save. So this is the image, but it's too big, so let's style it to this size. Right, let's add the class name. So let's add the left. Let's add the margin left and right auto. Then let's add the width of 1/2. So I think it's looking somewhat the same. So by let's add some line height. Let's add the let's reduce this to normal. It look somehow like that. So So let's change this. Let's use the width at this 80%. Let's see and convert. So I think it's more better than before. So now let's create the right side section. So in the right side section, we have the text which is login to Instagram, and then the input and the sign up button, login button. So let's come back to our code. So let's save this and come to this right side section. So we have the form, say the form tag. So with this form tag, we have the tag which is login to Instagram. So after that, we have the input section. So in the input section, we have the placeholder, phone number, username or email address. We have the phone number, mobile number. We have the username and email address. So in that, we have the, let's give it the class name. So the class name, yeah, let's start it from the upper end. So let's add the class name here. So let's add the display, the flex. So let's add the items and then justify. So, and then the height screen. So over here, let's add the class. So the font is medium. So in this form tag, let's add the class, the width. We are going to add the padding by the padding of 5. So here, let's give it a class name of the height 40, the height 20, and then the width of 4, the padding of 2.5, border of 2, and then the border color split 400. So we are going to add the rounded. Let's check it. So our button is too large, so let's reduce the height. Why, let's make the height 15, and then let's add the margin bottom 2.5. So over here to let's add the padding button of the. So now let's reduce the border here. Let's make it 1. And then this. So let's duplicate this input section. So here let's change to password, and then so in the placeholder we are going to write password. We already have the input. So the next thing, you have to create this login button. So and the login button, whenever we input something here, so when the password is written there, so that's when the button will be able to. So over here, let's create a button tag. So let's write login. So let's type the button. So let's add the flex, the width of full, the rounded full. So let's add the background of blue. And then the text of white. Let's take it onto. Let's add the text align center. And then the height of 10. Let's add the justifies center and center. So now we already have the button UI. So let's add the cursor pointer. So over here, let's create the forgotten password button. So let's just duplicate this button. So here let's write the forgotten password. So this background color, we are going to change this to slate. I'm going to change it to slate 200. That means when the button is over, this background will display. So let's add the over effect, and then let's remove this text white. Let's come back. So now whenever we hover on the forgot password button, so that's when the background shows. So let's add the margin between the buttons. So over here, let's add the margin button of 2.5, and to this too, let's add the margin button of 2.5. So now they have a little gap. So now we have to create this login with Facebook and then create accounts button. So over here, let's duplicate the button. So I duplicate the button twice. So in the first one, we have the continue. So the second one, we have create new account. So now let's type the. So over here, let me add the margin top the top of 5. Well, let me add imagine, let me make it 10. So there is larger gap between, and then let me add the margin bottom of 2.5. So now this one has a border, so let's style it as it is here. So over here, let's change the background to over, because when the button is over, that's when the background shows. And then let's change this to slate, and then let's make it 100. So let's add the border, and then the border color slate. And then let's change the color. Let's remove this text white, and then log in with Facebook, not continue with Facebook. So yeah, let's change it to. So we also have a Facebook logo here, so let's import the image over here. So I've already named the file Facebook logo. So now let's import the Facebook logo file. The file direction image / Facebook logo. So by let's start the logo style. Let's give it the of 10. Now we already have the logo, and then this creates new account. So let's style it how it looks here. Let's see this thing. So by here, let's remove this. Let's change this VG to over. So when the button is over, the VG will be visible. Let's add the grid 100. So and then let's remove this text. This text color will be 500, and then border, and then the border color blue. So let's check back. So now we need to add the meta logo at the bottom over here. So let's come back to it. So after this, we're going to import the image, and then we're going to meta logo. Let's import it. So import meta logo from. So let's use the direction. Let's save. Now let's start the logo to be small like this. So let's come over to this place. So let's give it the class name. So let's add the width of 40. Insert the width of 25. So now we already have it small, so let's align it properly. So let's make it X, the X axis, that's up, then margin top, let's give it 2.5. So now it's already aligned properly. So this is the original Instagram login UI, and this is the one just created. So this is the end of the tutorial. If you find this tutorial helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.